Constructed by the Brooklyn Navy Yard, the USS Arizona was laid down in March of 1914, shortly before the dung hit the fan in Europe. She's a part of the Pennsylvania class, the US Navy's second generation of super dreadnoughts. A lot of advances carried over from the previous Nevada class, with a few exceptions, such as both use geared turbines, and instead of dual and triple gun turrets, the Arizona has 4 triple barrel 14-inch turrets. The Pennsylvania class we continue to use oil. Good. America! Yeah. Damn ADHD scroll. Anyway, back to the video. Oil firing boilers, which improved the range and underwater protection from torpedo boats, which later became destroyers. She became the only battleship approved the physical year of 1914 and America's newest capital ship when the US entered World War I in 1917. Due to an oil shortage in the UK, the USS Arizona would be benched for the remainder of World War I. She was sent to Europe after the Destined to Fail Armistice Agreement was signed. During 1921 and 1922, she was sent on a mission to Peru and was transferred to the Pacific Fleet, where she would undergo extensive modernization, including adding new AA guns and torpedoes, just to name a few, to buff her survivability stat. She also received an improved engine room so she could stay close to the design speed of 21 knots. For non-seaman speakers, that would be at air superiority, at tracks. Oh, you thought I was gonna do math? Nah. That's 24 miles an hour for the Americans and 38 kilometers an hour for the rest of the world. Moving past the squirrel moment, despite a lot of weight being added, she could still get close to the design speed of 21 knots, 24 miles an hour, or 38 kilometers an hour. When the Axis started their shit again, she was sent to Hawaii with the rest of the Pacific Fleet. Then Pearl Harbor happened, and she was one of the few ships that could not be salvaged and still lies there today. But that opened up a can of fuck around and find out if a side of don't touch the US Navy's boats. Long story short, the Japanese got bombed to oblivion to the point where now Japan is only obsessed with anime. So let's begin with the armor. It is what's to be expected with a dreadnought. Like other American battleships, she was designed to resist her own 14-inch shell. The only ship with a thicker main belt than the USS Arizona is the SMS Braven with like a 0.7-inch advantage. I'll show in millimeters. The armor on the USS Arizona gets progressively thinner the lower you go, starting out from above the waterline of 13.5 inches to 80 inches just below the waterline, with 3 inches for the remainder of the armor. In War Thunder, the USS Arizona is in a 1938 refit, which means she has the torpedo bulges that can defeat meatheads or warheads of up to 250 kilograms or 551 pounds of TNT equivalent. She will eat most torpedoes and most of them won't even scratch the paint. The torpedoes like the G7As will hurt a little, but the Japanese Type 93 torpedo will seriously crit or outright will turn your battleship into a submarine in a few minutes. The USS Arizona is the first ship on War Thunder to say just send it in terms of its philosophy. It's the first one to use the all or nothing armor philosophy. So if I'm not picking up and I'm putting down, the classification that she is in is a super dreadnought. It should be renamed to the Arizona because she is an unsinkable island that has enough firepower to turn what's ever looking at her funny into a shitty submarine like that. I'll bring up a table so you could see the exact armor numbers from War Thunder's wiki so I don't confuse so you don't have to sit here and figure out the number and word salad I just threw at you. In arcade battles, she can do up to 45 kilometers an hour or 27 miles an hour forward and 25 kilometers an hour or 15.5 miles an hour backwards. In realistic battles, top forward speed is 38 kilometers an hour and 23 miles an hour and 22 kilometers an hour and 13 miles an hour backwards, which is kind of fast considering she displaces 36,000 tons. Yeah, not 3,600, 36,000 tons. It can be more, it can be less, depending on the ammo, the crew, the fuel, and whatever other cargo she's moving. But generally, the crew is about 1,400 people, or nearly 1,400 people, I should say. Arizona is armed with 12 14-inch guns. Even with the ace crew, the reload is still 40 seconds, which kind of feels like a lifetime, but the turret traverse speed is 2 degrees a second, which is a little faster than the Snell, making positive economy changes to the game. Just kidding, not really. She's armed with 2 shells, the Mark 9 high explosive and the Mark 8 armor piercing. The Mark 9 high explosive shell has a TNT equivalent of 46 kilos or 101 pounds. The Mark 8, which is armor piercing capped ballistic cap, or just AP for short, has a TNT equivalent of 15 kilos or 33 pounds. One of the downsides is she doesn't carry SAP, which is semi-armor piercing shells. The AP shell has an impressive penetration of 637 millimeters, giggity, at 1 kilometer and 44 millimeters at 10 kilometers, with about 4 kilos of explosive filler from a 356 millimeter AP shell. Pretty decent, I'm not gonna lie. Keynote: when engaging enemy capital ships or heavily armored ships, use AP to do damage, destroy modules. High explosive will just aggravate the enemy. One of the secondary armaments is 12 5-inch Mark 7 cannons with 230 rounds each, has a reload of 6.7 seconds with an ace screw, and it only carries armor piercing. The other secondary, as far as cannons go, is also a 5-inch, but this time 8 5-inch /25 Mark 11 cannons with 200 rounds, and 8 Mardus M250 cal machine guns with 200 rounds that can spit out EpiPen sized projectiles at a rate of 580 rounds per minute. In addition to all that firepower, she also carries a SOC-1 scout plane. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm going off what Gaijin shows in the wiki because I don't yet have Arizona and I want to make this video for December 7th for the Pearl Harbor anniversary, so bear with me. The USS Arizona plays similar to other battleships with one painful difference. The fire rate is 1.5 shells per minute as opposed to 2 rounds per minute with other battleships. Be on high alert and extra vigilant when playing Arizona because ships with a faster reload can obviously put more rounds down towards you, and ships like the USS Alaska, Kronstadt and Scharnhorst have twice the reload you do, which means you should prioritize them first. Side note, while repairing and reloading will reduce your reload speed to basically nothing, so you're gonna have to choose between repair or reload in order to either escape or sit there and just take it and give it back. For more squishy targets, use ranging shots. Ranging shots is basically firing one shell as opposed to firing an entire salvo, keeping you on the right side of the water longer. Fighting squishier targets, use high explosive against everything from PT boats to destroyers and everything in between. This will also make cruisers think twice about coming towards you. If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, if it's moving and it isn't friendly, high explosive spam the shit out of it. If high explosive isn't working, then it's probably an armor target, in which case switch to armor piercing and just make it a shitty submarine. Unless of course it's a mountain on an island, and I don't think waterboarding landmasses is a thing just yet. So here's a cheat sheet. The pros: heavily armored for most of critical modules, has torpedo bulges and good penetration on its armor piercing rounds. The cons: lacking armor for secondary batteries, extremely slow traverse speed, extremely slow reload rate, and lackluster high explosive ammunition and no SAP rounds whatsoever. So the motto of this story is: don't touch America's boats. I really appreciate you watching all the way to the end. War out.